Well, ladies and gentlemen, with the recent release of The Acolyte, we have seen the prime example of what it means to see a franchise absolutely implode for everyone to see. I mean, it is quite ridiculous, to be honest with you, to see what's happening in the Star Wars community because I have seen so much infighting due to The Acolyte, but most of it has to be targeting The Acolyte. The Acolyte obviously is that TV show that has brought everyone together, similar to what Velma did for the internet, brought everyone together and realized exactly what's happening with Star Wars. Now, in case you forgot, the director, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, is the person who's going to be making the next film for Star Wars, and apparently she came out and said that Rey Skywalker is the heart of Star Wars and implies that the film will continue to inject feminism into Star Wars.
I like to make men uncomfortable.
Now, for those of you who know Sharmeen, this should really not be shocking information. I've been saying time and time again that the reason why I have given up on Star Wars for a long time now is, quite frankly, that all these TV shows, all these iterations of Star Wars that you're getting right now to keep you busy until the next film is done, all of these iterations are going to lead back to what made people hate Star Wars in the first place, which was Rey Skywalker and her obvious Mary suing and the feminism and all that nonsense and the Force is female, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is going to lead back to this. So even though you might have had a win with Andor, for example, or maybe you like The Mandalorian or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter, man. All of these TV shows will ultimately lead to, canonically speaking anyway, the praising and worship of Rey Skywalker. So let's get into this video, guys, from that Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, who has been announced to direct the upcoming Rey film featuring Daisy Ridley, recently shared more details about the project and heavily implied that it will inject more feminism into Star Wars. Well, can I just make a quick statement? At this point, I think it's pretty safe to say that it's no longer an implication, right? Like, you're not implying that you're going to inject feminism into Star Wars. You literally have lesbian space witches controlling the Force and being the ones that know everything. I mean, how much more proof do you need that Star Wars is going to go this direction and keep going this direction for as far as they possibly can? Star Wars hasn't been for the Star Wars fan for a long time now, and it does suck to see some people who are so invested into Star Wars just either unwillingly or unable to notice what's in front of them. This entire franchise has been taken over by radical activists, and I mean extremely radical activists. These people only care about pushing a message, and as cringe as that is to say, that is genuinely what's happening here with Star Wars. To ignore that fact is just to be, honestly, a little bit ignorant to it. And I get it, man. I totally get it. Like, when you are a super fan of something, it is hard to give it up. It very much is. But unfortunately, that's just what it's going to be. Either you accept the new direction of Star Wars and just be a good little consumer and consume, or you essentially just give up on it at this point, because it's not changing. Star Wars is not going to change. Kathleen Kennedy, even if she were to leave today, she will have a successor that's probably going to be worse than her tomorrow. It's not going to change at all. Speaking with Variety about her upcoming Diane von Vostenberg documentary, Obaid-Chinoy detailed what attracted her to the film. The story that interests me most is in Rey's journey as a female Jedi. That's how I can best bring my experiences to it. She went on detail who she hopes to attract to this movie. The greatest thing about Star Wars is that it's that everyone has a personal connection to it. Everyone is passionate about it. And throughout the fandom, people have clear ideas about who should direct or what the story should be about. I'm just drowning out those voices until I'm done. As a storyteller, I'm focused on drawing new moviegoers into the cinema and bringing a sense of nostalgia that will appeal to older fans of the series, she added. Yeah, so basically what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to bring in characters that they know people actually like and then interject characters that they know people will hate in the hopes that people will somehow warm up to them over time after being constantly exposed to them. So that's why they keep bringing back Darth Vader. That's why they keep bringing back Anakin. That's why they keep bringing back this, Luke Skywalker and whatnot. They keep bringing back the characters that they know people are going to be interested in seeing and then interject their feminist nonsense and just hope that people don't notice. It's like the most stupid thing and weird strategy, but that's what they do a lot of the time. She also discussed the film in an interview with SiriusXM, saying sometimes you walk in the footsteps of people and giants who've created worlds. And in the case of Star Wars, George Lucas's world and the filmmakers that have walked in his footsteps have set this world that they want young viewers to sort of walk into and have an understanding of the world. You know, it's really amazing that young viewers were able to connect with Star Wars in the past, right? And now suddenly, in order for you to be able to connect young viewers to Star Wars, you have to radically change it to the point of making everything gay and female. I don't know if you realize this, but 50% of the population is still male. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the vast majority of fans of Star Wars are male. As much as you hate to admit that, I've seen you admit that 1 or 2 times. You know, they do it very not willingly. Let's just say it that way. But even so, admit the fact that it is male dominated and you are choosing to ignore that fact and bring in some, I don't know who you're trying to bring in, because you're not really bringing in anybody. Your viewership has completely tanked. Every single show that comes out has less and less and less viewership because people are caring less and less. You're going to get to a point where apathy has set in. And for me, I mean, that's really what's happening. But apathy will set in for a lot of people. And I think the Acolyte was really that trigger. And that's why there's so much discussion about the Acolyte right now, because the Acolyte really pushed a lot of people who probably weren't over the edge necessarily yet. There was still a point where you can understand and see the discourse, but I think it's pushed certain people over the edge, which now leads to what they would view as a review bomb. But ultimately, that's not what it is, because if they wanted to review bomb the Acolyte, they would have review bombed all this feminist nonsense that's been happening in the past. But the numbers were much higher and much more closer to even on previous iterations, but the Acolyte is completely getting destroyed. And that's because the normies that you probably would have kept because you were a little subtle on it, now you went full force lesbian space witch, and people are like, what the fuck is this? And they completely don't give a fuck. They have absolutely destroyed the Acolyte, and rightfully so. And honestly, listen, like I said, if you enjoy Rey Skywalker, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, don't let me tell you what to and what not to watch, okay? And that's what I'll never do. I'm always just going to give you my opinion on it and what I feel is happening before our eyes, and then you can make your own decision from there. She then detailed what is at the heart of Star Wars. And at the heart of it, for me, is Rey Skywalker. Is Daisy Ridley in her story and taking on her adventure to a Jedi Academy and sort of creating a world that is natural dovetail to the story that we've seen her go through the last 3 episodes, and working with Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy and the team over there in breathing life to characters that everyone loves and has fallen in love with, and finding new characters that the next generation of moviegoers will fall in love with. So that's literally what I just said. Right? That's literally word for word what I just said. You're going to utilize characters that you know people love, that you know people like. You're going to utilize those characters and then hope to inject your bullshit characters after introducing those nostalgic ones. It honestly is ridiculous, man, and they're going to be constantly using this nostalgia bait to attract you to watch their TV shows. So one thing I will say is that if you see an advertisement for a Star Wars TV show, you guys need to be heavily careful of what you fall for, because they're going to make sure they show you all the good characters. They're going to make sure they show you Darth Vader. They're going to make sure they show you Anakin. They're going to make sure they show you everything possible to get you to watch. And then once you do watch, by episode 3, all comes the identity politics. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.